This video is going to be a focus on J.K. Dobbins and kind of some of the things that he said after the game and his performance during the game in the Ravens' 24-17 loss to the Bengals. And basically an examination. You probably already can guess my answer. Is he right? Should he be that guy? Well, for me, the answer is yes. The J.K. Dobbins that we have now, the J.K. Dobbins that showed up in basically his second season of 2022. I really think there was 2 seasons there separated by that mid-year surgery. Briefly talk about the numbers pre-surgery and then the second return in 2022. Weeks 3 through 6, he didn't play in week 1 and 2. Weeks 3 through 6, J.K. Dobbins had 123 rushing yards on 35 carries. That was against the Patriots, the Bills, the Bengals, and the Giants. About less than 4 yards per carry. Did have 1 touchdown rushing and 1 receiving as well against the Bills. I think that was a shovel pass, but I could be wrong. So didn't play well in terms of the yards per carry to his standard. Chooses of his own, apparently, to undergo some type of scope, and then comes back weeks 14 through 19 and tears it up. Plays 5 games. Of course, he sat out the regular season finale against the Bengals. I think that was a huge tactical decision by the Ravens, too. If you take him and insert him into that game, look at what he did Sunday night. Anyway, 5 games upon return, 70 carries in those 5 games, 457 yards rushing, 6.52 yards per carry. Even if you take out his 44 or 48-yard run against the Steelers, you're still talking about like 6.17, I think, yards per carry. So huge production. 1 rushing touchdown, 1 receiving touchdown. Is he correct? Do you think he's correct with what he said last night? He should be that guy in some of those moments where the Ravens need a touchdown. The Ravens need a first down. First of all, I'm glad he said it. I'm glad that's what he believes. I'm glad that's what he wants. Don't you want a competitor on your team who believes in themselves? Look, we're going to get to some of the film here. I'm going to tell you that I love what he said, whether it, to be honest with you, ruffled feathers or not. Me personally, I think you want those guys on your team. You want those competitors who want the football. We're going to show some down and distance stuff here and talk about some of the plays. A couple of things that I thought I noticed upon rewatch tonight, and I haven't watched every single play yet. I feel like when we had Gus in the game versus JK, we were predictable in terms of scheme. Now, I'm not going to show you every run, to be honest with you, but certainly from the game, he had some big runs. He had a 10-yard run, a 13-yard run, a 15-yard run, all of those coming on stretch. He had a 27-yard catch and an 11-yard catch. So you're talking about 5 or 6 touches that were big plays, 10 yards or above. A couple of things to note here. I think this is a 1st and 10 on our first possession, first play of the game. We're in 22 personnel. We've got J.K. and Ricard, and we're in trips. We've got 3 guys over there. To this point, the Bengals haven't necessarily, I would say, adjusted to it. They're in their 5-2 or 3-4 look. Here's their 5 down linemen or 3 down linemen and 2 outside linebackers, in this case Hubbard and Hendrickson, and then Pratt and Wilson. Look, you guys know what I think of the Bengals defense. I think of how classy they are. Stanley and Moses both do this on the backside of stretch Sunday night, basically run horizontally down the line, trying to go and cut something off, and so that the running back can possibly, cut it back off of them. I think you've got a win initially by Linderbaum, and then Reeder kind of takes over, but he's getting pushed downfield a little bit. Definitely have a win by Ricard on Hubbard and Oliver downfield. I did not think Oliver dealt well with Sample. I think it's Sample, but here, him and Ricard do a nice job with Hubbard. Zeitler getting out on Hill. We got a 10-yard gain, first play of the game. Second play of the game, counter wind back. Why did it take so long for these things to happen? Now, this is only a 4-yard gain, and there's a lot going on, a lot to talk about. But look what we've got here. We've got Ricard in motion from right to left, Huntley opening in this direction, in the same direction as Ricard, and then you've got the run play going back against the grain, away from where Ricard is going. It's only a 4-yard gain, but this plants seeds for the Bengals that Ricard read is not nearly as reliable as you think it is. Look at the front. He thinks he's the frontside inside linebacker, walked himself out of the play. Another linebacker, Pratt, also moving over. they still end up stopping us for a 4-yard gain. Don't get me wrong. I don't think Ben Powers does a great job on the pull and kick. He's got a corner out here. To me, it looks like Powers and Stanley are both going for the same guy, at least for a moment. And you've also got, we're losing B.J. Hill. You'll get the end zone angle here in a moment, and you'll see what I mean. Oliver's going to down block. Hubbard on the motion. On the motion by Ricard. Hubbard's going to slam down inside the C gap. So the C gap is in here between the tight end and Moses. And the effect that has is, on this down block scheme, Oliver takes him down. And, Moses and Oliver are in good position here. This should be a play. What ends up happening is Hill is able to fold over the top. I think Hubbard gets blocked into Moses, kind of dislodges him a little bit, but to me it looks like Moses has already started to lose Hill. B.J. Hill scrapes off. We missed the block on CTB. Only ends up being a 4-yard gain. J.K. Dobbins, though, and there was, I think I've got 2 0-yard gains by him in this game. 1 1-yard gain and 1 2-yard gain. And there's maybe a fifth one, that was a shorter gain. What I love about J.K. is everything is moving forward. Even when he's going laterally, horizontally, he's able to gain ground. I think he is a number 1 back. And I hate those designations, Frew. I don't like those designations at all. You got a pretty good job here, I think, by Zeitler and Linderbaum. I think this is Reeder, but I could be wrong. We're getting out on people here, expanding these linebackers horizontally. You got really no good option for Logan Wilson. Were he to, slam here, then JK's going to, try to get it around the edge, and now we're trying to win this battle here with Moses. And I think that's Sample there, but I could be wrong. Sample was playing on both sides. Hendrickson generally plays on the Bengals' right or left, and Hubbard generally plays on the Bengals' left or right. O-line did this stretch stuff, I thought, could have been run more often. You can let me know what you think. Dobbins only had 13 carries. The problem with the stretch stuff is it was predictable formationally. This is the same play I just showed you from the all-22 angle. What do you notice about our formation? Well, we're in the pistol, right? That's obvious. We have 3 receivers to the side where we're going to run it to. Well, it's 2 tight ends and a receiver, but we've got 3 guys there. It ends up being a successful play. I think it's 13 yards. It's our second possession. But you can't. It's like you can't only run the stretch to the trips. Yeah, at some point you got to run it into the boundary. The Cleveland Browns do it. The Tennessee Titans do it. Multiple other teams run the zone and the stretch into the boundary. We were generally only running it to the trips, to the field side, and later on in the game, I don't think JK's in, so you won't see it in this video, to be honest with you. Mike Hilton recognizes the trips with the pistol, and he blitzes, and he gets a tackle for loss on Gus Edwards. Same possession, stretch left. What do you notice? Pistol, trips, 3 receivers. Now, we lose the block. We lose a couple of blocks, if you ask me. Out on the edge, I think Watkins loses to Eli Apple. You also have Moses, again, working here laterally, similar to that first play I showed you with Ronnie Stanley. I think we were trying to develop that cutback. Originally, looks like you've got a win here with, I think, Linderbaum. Cut off this D tackle here. I think Powers loses this guy, which is 95. So you lose a force defender. You lose to the force defender, the corner, Eli Apple, and you lose to an inside-out D tackle in a situation where otherwise you've got some pretty good stuff developing, and JK could possibly hit this thing downhill, or maybe even cut it back in here, back behind. But Reeder does a nice job of staying behind. He did end up getting rid of Linderbaum there, but I think someone ran into him. Yeah, Moses ends up putting his hand on Linderbaum's back, who's already won. 1-yard gain. Beautiful play call on this 3rd and goal on our second possession. I think it's our second possession, maybe our third. We're down 9-7 at this point, and I thought this was Logan Wilson who made this play. This is the other linebacker whose name I always forget. Good player. It's 22 personnel for the Ravens, and the Bengals have gone heavy. We used to call this 6-pack. I don't know what the Bengals call it. I have no idea, but they've got an inside linebacker, another inside linebacker, and another. They got 4 inside linebackers on the field, 1 safety, in this case Von Bell, and we are manipulating them. This is a beautiful play call. I'm not a fan of what we ran inside the 5 generally, but I'll give credit where credit is due. JK's lined up on our left, and he's going into the right flats across the field, and we're running simultaneously. We're trying to pin people inside here. So we're trying to isolate out in space, short space, don't get me wrong. We're trying to isolate. You can see what I mean by pin. Now, Andrews has pinned, I think that's Hubbard, but I could be wrong. Likely didn't pin this other linebacker. But this guy here is soloed up with JK. JK's got the ball skills, the acceleration, the awareness. How many, he's probably scored touchdowns like that 200 times in his life. Beautiful play call. The Ravens tried this one other time on a 3rd and 2 with Justice Hill, and we almost got the first down. Logan Wilson made a great play, if you recall. Ended up being a 4th and inches that we converted. This is a design play with the running back on our left, running to the other side of the formation and pinning in this case, Hubbard, the D-end. We missed that linebacker, which I think is Gaither Davis. And then now we're one-on-one out in some tight space. In my opinion, if we get J.K. Dobbins the football inside the 5 2 more times last night, we're probably going to Kansas City this week. So that one pulled the Ravens to, I think, 9-7. Now, the crazy thing is he didn't get on the field on the Ravens' 3rd possession, which was to end the second quarter. Of course, the Ravens go down and take a 10-9 lead at the half. Didn't get on the field. That's just interesting to me. But I understand they're probably still trying to limit him and Edwards in terms of, hey, certain possessions they're going to be off, and we'll use Justice Hill and the other guy. All right, so this is our 5th possession opening drive of the 3rd quarter. 15-yard gain on stretch. Now, when you get to all 22, you will see that this is not trips, but it might as well be. So here's what I mean. Here's the all 22 view of the same play. Again, it's a 15-yard gain on a 1st and 10. So great cut by JK. But to me, the fact that he was able to be this successful against a defense as classy and prepared as the Bengals, while we're predictable, what I mean by that is, look at our alignment. You may say, well, it's only 2 receivers, Coach. When you have an offset fullback, how far is Ricard from Oliver here? How far is he actually? I don't know, is he 5 feet? They treat this like trips. Look at the auto blitz of Pratt. Look at what Pratt's doing. Pratt's coming downhill. Now they knew the play, and they have a force player, Bates. Thankfully, we're talented enough with JK, and we do a pretty damn good job of blocking this up and creating this huge cutback lane. It speaks to how talented J.K. Dobbins actually is, that we can go out there against what I believe is one of the more classy, high-level, complete, versatile defenses in the league, be predictable. So, and that's why, if you ask me, a lot of times in the second, I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of times in the second half of games, our run game becomes less effective because we've now become more predictable. Teams are recognizing the pre-snap alignments that can tell them the play. Oh, by the way, we don't run the boot enough. How do you know we don't run the boot enough? Look at the alignment that we're getting here. We've got a stacked corner. We've got a D-end. We've got space to be able to run this boot. I didn't see it. This is the first play, I believe, of the 3rd quarter. Our failed drive where we ended up punting. We're up 10-9, had a chance to get, maybe go down and get a field goal or even a touchdown. Did nothing with it. I don't remember us running the boot, after that when it looks there to me. All right, 6th possession. The Bengals are now up 17-10. Now, look, I will tell you, this is an interesting play for us. This play is straight out of the 49ers playbook in a lot of ways to me. Basically, you're lining up, again, look how many guys are on the right side here. We've got 2 tight ends and Ricard. Similar situation to the play I just described. It's not a run concept, though, but you're getting both backs, Ricard and Dobbins, full flow out into the flats, into the boundary. One tight end running it in, and then you're getting Andrews running right at the corner. I think the one corner ends up falling down here. Bell spins down to curl flat. They get pressure. Great catch. This is a 27-yard gain. How many other guys do we have on this team who can do this? Went into the boundary, very little space. Yes, a defensive player does fall down, so I understand that that's kind of random. JK's able to make him miss, make Hubbard miss, make Pratt miss. They're lucky Jesse Bates really almost made 2 touchdown-saving tackles. Maybe J.K. gets caught here, and this isn't going to turn into a touchdown. Point being, Jesse Bates played a hell of a game, if you ask me, Sunday night. 27-yard gain to Dobbins. Again, Ravens' 6th possession. End zone angle, you'll see Ricard and Dobbins, who's almost difficult to see there behind Huntley. Full flow going out in the same direction. This stunt was one that the Bengals used last week in the wildcard game. In the preview, I talked about it multiple times. They're going to stunt underneath. D-tackle's going to kind of run upfield. Maybe they bring this guy off the edge. Basically, they're not challenging Ronnie on this one, and we really had trouble picking this one up. I don't know if that's Linderbaum. I don't know if that's Linderbaum and Powers, whoever it is, but we had trouble with that one against the Bengals, I think 3 or 4 times in the last 2 weeks. So something to note. All right, very next play, I believe. We've got the hot hand in JK. We go under center, 1 back, and we run stretch. Nothing there. We lose. Zeitler loses to B.J. Hill. And we're not able to control or corral Sam Hubbard. I think this is hurry up, to be honest with you. One of those situations where I was glad to see us hurry it up. I think Ricard's got to stay on Hubbard here and get some movement. Sometimes these combos, guys end up, they're trying to work to a guy and then combo up, and sometimes you leave them a little too early and you're just not giving enough help. To me, out on the edge there, I'd rather go ahead and combo and just stay on Hubbard and give J.K. the option. But, B.J. Hill won the rep anyway. Same play, all 22 angle. Bengals lined up a little late because we were hurry up. Just didn't do a good enough job there. Zeitler working with Hill. I thought Zeitler went down once during the game in terms of being injured and didn't look the same thereafter. We scored 3 plays later on this slant and go to Demarcus Robinson. Where has this stuff been? Like, just the attempt. Now, last week, Anthony Brown threw some of these routes. Not this exact route necessarily, but Anthony Brown went up here twice last week, and Watkins abused CTB on those 2 passes. He fumbled one of them, obviously. Where has this stuff been? It's just crazy to me. Along with the running away from Ricard's motion, using Ricard's motion to draw the defense. So that tied the game at 17-all. 8th possession here. The Ravens are down 24-17. This is a sick move on Jermaine Pratt. Now, Jermaine Pratt stays with it, but Gus can't do this. Like, I'm a big fan of Gus. Don't get me wrong. I'm a big fan. Gus can't do this. Basically, stutter step, force Pratt to stop his feet, and then immediately start again and just be too much for him. Now, Pratt makes a tackle. CTB and Watkins are out there having a battle on the edge. CTB's a pretty physical guy against a run, if you ask me. 8 or 9 yard gain. You get a couple of runs here, and a credit to the Ravens that we're running this away from trips. We're not at trips now. So we're to a slot side. Slot and then another tight end. And when we're going 13 personnel, which is what this is, we've got Likely, Oliver, and Andrews on the field. The Bengals are going with their 5-2 and just keeping all 4 DBs on the field in this case. So we're not getting like a nickel. We're getting a base defense. Oliver loses this one. Hubbard runs it down from behind again. And this is later in the game. This is why I mentioned that play early on, the 15-yard gain on the first play of the half. How are we not seeing this? And then running this boot back to the side. Whether anyone's going to be open or not, I don't care. You got to run it. You got to make this guy play it honest, and they did not. They just went with the running back all game long. Whether it was option, whether it was stretch like it is here, we're running stretch into the boundary. Oliver's losing to Sample. Eli Apple doing a good job filling, 0-yard gain. Another 0-yard gain, this one out of that same formation that I mentioned. Ricard on the same side as the tight end and the receiver. So essentially we're talking trips. 3 guys to one side with Ricard being offset fullback. This is the one I think Reeder runs Linderbaum down the line. Zeitler's not really able to help him out and basically pushes Linderbaum towards the sideline. Into J.K. Sample, I think, is also doing a good job on the edge, dealing with Oliver. Yeah, really good job. Ricard gets up to Wilson. You'll see the end zone angle. You'll see what I mean. So it's not like every carry for J.K. on stretch was a big one. But my point is, we're running stuff that's predictable over the course of the game formationally. And it's not surprising that you've got a guy who hits some big plays, and then later on in the game has a 0 or 1 yard game because, well, they know it's coming. 10th possession, excuse me, trying to go down. This is the the final possession of the game, trying to go down and tie the game, or if you believe what I said in the reaction video, I think the Ravens are going for 2 if they score. JK is so quick at turning this upfield. This is sick. His fast twitch is unbelievable. Catching the ball, third step, spin, still on his feet. You'll get the all-22. I think he's not our best player. Lamar's our best player. Roquan, Marlon, they qualify as well. In my opinion, like JK belongs in that category. And I love the fact that he has that mentality. I love the fact that he said it for real and put that out there for the coaches and other players to hear. And I mean all the other players, like all of them, that he wants to be that guy and he expects to be that guy and thinks he is. Do you think he is? I think he can be. I think the JK we've seen since week 14 is. Yards per carry, I think I read it out to you earlier, 6.52. Of course, the last 3 games against the Falcons, Steelers, and Bengals, the yards per carry have been less. 5 yards per carry against the Falcons, 5.4 against Pittsburgh, 4.8 against the Bengals. Teams are going to try to clamp down on it. I love JK's attitude, love the enthusiasm, the willingness to put himself out there. I want Gus Edwards on this team. I want Gus Edwards to get the ball 6, 8, 10 times a game, something like that. But I want J.K. Dobbins to be asked to do more so we can find out how good he is. Let's end it that way. I hope in 2023 we find out how good J.K. Dobbins is. I think I know because you're talking about a guy who, as a rookie, averaged 6.0 yards per carry, missed last year with the ACL, and then this year, in a really crazy, frantic season for him, in terms of having 2 separate time periods playing, being active, he still averaged 5.7 per carry. Pretty unbelievable if you ask me. You guys let me know what you think of his performance Sunday night. If you agree with his answers to some, and I love how he does it in the post-game interviews as well. He looks the reporters right in the eyes. I don't see any sense of negative pride. All I see is good pride. Like eye contact is there. Calm voice says, I believe I am that guy, or something like that. I love his attitude. Glad that we got him. Unfortunately, because of the lost season in 2021, 2023 is the end of his rookie deal. Kind of crazy. Appreciate you guys' time. Let me know what you think of the video in the comment section. If you enjoy my breakdown here, talking about the film, talking about JK's comments, please consider sharing a link on social media to help this video get more reach.